Welcome to the Trader a Traitors podcast. I'm Matthew. I'm a writer and I work in unscripted TV development. And this podcast recaps and analyzes every episode of The Traitors around the world, but for this season, The Traitors US specifically. We have been dedicated to season 4 of that show. We've been deep diving into every episode, recapping the main events, analysing the tactics, the gameplay, the strategy. We've reached the finale, and joining me on every episode, in fact, some episodes, I wasn't even here. It's David Bloomberg. David, we're back for the finale. How are you doing?
Good, good. Much better than I could have been if the finale had gone a different way. Spoiler alert.
Yes, so you're happy with the outcome. I thought you would be when I watched it. I'm happy with the outcome.
Yes.
Listeners, if you're listening to this, you know the outcome. This can't possibly
Well,
be a
I hope
spoiler
anyway.
at
Yes.
all.
Yeah.
uh, David, for anyone, sometimes people just join for the finale. That's the
Yeah.
big episode. It's the one that the most people watch. Tell us who you are in case they don't know.
Sure. For anyone who doesn't know me, I have been covering reality TV for over 25 years, including over 10 years on podcasts, and before that, online and newspaper columns, on my own reality TV websites. And I post reality TV videos on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, where I'm at David Bloomberg TV. And I will talk about it just about anywhere, but especially on Blue Sky.
Yes. And it's a biggie. It's the finale. This is what we've been waiting for literally months. And for the past few episodes, we've had so many questions from our great listeners that we've been doing bonus episodes just addressing our listener thoughts and questions and theories. We'll do the same again. However, we're gonna have a little bit of a gap this time to give everybody time to watch the finale and then listen to us and watch the
Hmm.
reunion and then send us all their final thoughts and questions. So in a few days, we will come back with our bonus episode just dedicated to listener questions. We'll also do a separate episode just on the reunion. And at this point, I haven't seen the reunion. I watched the first
Nope. Me
minute
neither.
or so. I've seen, images of it, but I haven't actually watched it yet. So we're just going to talk about the finale today. In like 24 hours, we will come back and talk about the reunion Q&A episode a few days after that. Uh,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
I
Just a few
have.
days though, so you're going to have to, watch quickly. Of course, if you're already
Yes.
listening now, then you've already watched and you know that part. But
Right,
yes.
right. I've actually already got a couple of questions and comments that have come in over the past few days, so I'm saving those. I'm sure we will get a lot more, and I'll tell you at the end all the ways that you can send us your thoughts and questions to discuss on the pod. You can even have your own voice literally heard on the pod. You can send us a voice note, so I will tell you how to do that. In fact, we've got a voice note I'm going to play right now. Just a couple of things to catch up on for episode 10 before we get into the finale. I had a voice note from Debbie. Debbie pointed out something about episode 10 that hadn't occurred to me. It's an interesting thought, and unless I'm missing something, Debbie's pointed out something very important that I don't think the players thought of. So, David, I haven't even played this to you. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Let's hear Debbie's thoughts.
This keeps nagging at me. It's been nagging at me through the whole episode. It seemed as if Mark and Johnny were leery of going against Rob because of the tie due to the dagger. However, wouldn't they, if they had thought it through, realize the tie was their best chance of taking control of the game? Because a tie would go their way in the end because the revote, Rob's 2 votes are gone and Natalie's vote's gone. So now it's just Eric and Maura against Tara, Mark, and Johnny. So they win in a tie. It seemed so. Why were they afraid of the tie? Rob's gone. They take control of the game. That's it. I mean, am I missing something, or were just none of them smart enough to think that whole thing through? Because the tie seemed like the way to go, but they seem like no, we gotta have Eric, or well, we gotta have 5 against 3. Like, why did they not see that?
Thanks for that, Debbie, and that kind of makes sense to me now. Yes, so if they had gone to a tie between Natalie and Rob's Rob and Natalie then can't vote in the tiebreak, so that takes two
Hmm.
of Rob's votes away. And if I think this is what Debbie's saying. If Johnny and Tara had continued to vote for Rob, uh, is that he would have actually then gone?
Well, if they had flipped Mark.
Yes.
And so, but and yes, Debbie is absolutely right. I did not think of it at the time. I saw some discussion about it online afterwards. Now, there's a couple things we don't know. One, do they use Survivor like rules? Because what she's describing is the way it would work in Survivor.
Mm,
Do they use the same type of rules, or would they say something different? Like, oh no, the dagger gives you a double vote to their single vote, so it only cancels out the single votes, and you still get one vote. Because that's one thing, and I hate to delve into too much Survivor here. That's one thing that where the logic of Survivor has fallen apart was originally they said, well, if there's a tie, you can only vote for each other, so you don't vote. But
mhm.
then there were three-way ties, and they still said the same thing. And it's like that doesn't make sense because two of them could gang up on one and change the votes. So that
Right.
can't be your rationale for why you're not letting those two people vote. But in this case, they may have had some thought about that. Like, no, you've got 2-1, so you cancel out one of each. That's a possibility. We don't know. The other thing is, I didn't see an inclination for Mark to flip. I mean, maybe it's because Johnny and Tara didn't push hard enough because they thought they didn't have the votes. But the other thing is, let's just say, okay, the dagger. Even if they do tie it with the dagger, even if they keep everything the same and it's it's a tiebreaker vote, and let's say they just decide everybody gets to vote because of the 2-1 issue. If they're doing it by random chance, which we know is how they do in the UK, and this is the same production, so it's possible they'd do it that way. We don't know for sure. They don't do everything the same. If you really wanted Rob out, go for the coin flip. If you
Mhm.
thought that he was going to be in a dominant position otherwise. But they just kept having so much confidence in their ability to flip Mark or Mora that they just thought they could do it, thought they could do it. And no, you were never going to do it. So I I don't necessarily think they were afraid of the tie. I think they were just afraid they didn't have the numbers, but they didn't really talk about it. So unless it comes up in an interview somewhere, I don't know that we'll know.
Yeah. My also this maybe the simple answer is not that I'm downplaying Johnny and Tara's abilities in any way.
I am.
I just think they probably didn't think that far ahead, or
Yeah.
I just reckon if you presented this to them, they would go, "Oh yeah, we didn't think of that." That's all. I think they just didn't go that far.
I mean,
I would
they
guess.
clearly didn't think ahead because they were like, oh, well, we can wait till next time. Two
Yeah.
of you are going to be gone next time.
Right. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
if you don't have the numbers now, you certainly won't have the numbers later.
Right. Right. I mean, unless
And
they thought,
yeah,
well, if Natalie's proved to be faithful, then that'll convince the others that it was Rob. But
right.
that actually almost never happens.
Yeah.
So, and it didn't this time.
Right.
I've got a question, or not a question, actually, just an observation from Alison on Instagram, also connected to something we spoke about, I think in the last episode, maybe before that. It's the idea that comes up all the time about why the players don't realize that the last people in at breakfast are probably faithful and so on. But
Mm-hmm.
Alison just points out something about this season in particular, and kind of the recent UK season. This is not a spoiler. Alison says, I was thinking about the dilemma of the players who come in last for breakfast, and I think that the producers have been trying to work around this by having more episodes with a murder shortlist and or lots of shields being awarded. Which, yeah, has been happening a lot more this season. If there's a smaller group of people that are actually up to be murdered, then the order everyone comes in gives less away. You know the people who are at risk coming in are coming in later, whether traitor or faithful.
Mm-hmm.
Just thought, but certainly a trend I've noticed, with seemingly fewer episodes that actually have the full castle available for murder. So yeah, I think that that is accurate.
I
That there have been more shields available, more short lists for murder. So yeah,
see. I think that they're doing that for a different reason. I
okay,
think it's solely for production reasons. So it limits the number of people they have to worry about the traders talking about. And
okay,
so, especially at the beginning, they don't want the three traders or four traders to have to talk about almost 20 people
hmm,
and go
right,
through almost 20. So you have the secret trader giving them a short list. Okay. And we don't have to show the secret trader. As a matter of fact, that's one thing we complained about was the secret trader not showing that. Uh, and so I think I think that they do try to mix it up, but they should have tried to mix it up more because someone did point out there's no way they should have gone after Natalie when they did because she was the sole person to come in last. What are the odds they're going to send a traitor absolute last? Not just last as part of a group, but absolute last when you know they always want to build suspense.
yeah,
So that one, they probably should have been a giveaway.
right, right, okay. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. And so maybe Alison's point is like a happy accident. Maybe that's just a byproduct of what you've described, but has the same effect, maybe.
Yeah, especially since the early shortlists, the rest of the players aren't aware of. Like they don't
Yes,
know
that's
that a
true.
secret trader has made a short list for them.
Yeah, yeah, very true. But thanks for that, Alison. Good thought. And I think, David, we're ready to go for it and get into
Yes.
this finale of Traitors US Season 4. Of course, we've got our montage to begin. I keep forgetting Donna was ever in this castle when we see clips of her. I mean, again, it was we're almost in March. This started
Yeah,
early January. I'm like, why? This feels like a different season. And
it
we're,
was. I mean, it honestly, it was a different season when you had, and not for those reasons, but we've talked about it before. When you had Michael and Colton in there, it was a different season than the one that
yeah,
bloomed out of, them being in the dirt.
yeah.
They fertilized the season, I guess. Their planted bodies fertilized the season there.
Yeah, certainly feels like a season of two halves. And last time, of course, Natalie has just been banished. When we're about to find out who will be murdered in front of everyone outside the castle entrance, Alan is building us up. It's a murder in plain sight, sort of. I mean, the traitors don't have to do anything in front of everyone.
Right.
And he tells them again, I can now reveal the faithful who was mercilessly murdered by the traitors tonight is. And it's Mark. I was shocked in this moment. The players look shocked. Mark says, see you in hell. Of course, Rob's doing his best to look surprised. As
Yes.
surprised as Rob ever looks, he's so sort of cool and calm and
Right.
laid back. And, you know, Rob's not going to have an over the top reaction to anything. Mark gets into the coffin, the Ring of Fire. I thought this was a perfect opportunity for a slowed down, creepy version of Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash, but
Nah,
we don't get it, sadly.
they ran
And
out of money for using the
yeah,
songs.
yeah.
Uh,
Well
yeah,
done to, a couple of people did predict that
hmm
Mark actually was going to go. I've picked out one. There were various comments on our YouTube videos
hmm
and so on. I picked out one from Sophie who sent me a message on Instagram last week before the finale. She was not cheating and said to me, I think Mark is the best murderer at this point, since I think it will be easier to vote out Tara or Johnny with the Rob, Eric, Mora majority. So Sophie sussed this may happen. David, what did you
Yeah, I
think?
saw I saw a fair number of people predicting Mark after we did the podcast, and they thought, he was more of a threat than the skating twins. And as we watched this moment, all I could think of was, well, we'll find out. I was very worried about keeping a duo in.
Yeah, yeah,
And, I think that Rob was counting on his ability to hold on to Mora
yeah,
as opposed to Mark. And so, I mean, you know, spoiler alert, it worked out for him. So it's hard to, sometimes these are hard for us to judge because we only see a fraction and we don't know what he's thinking. We don't know what the plan is and everything else. So, from what he saw, clearly he thought that Mark was more important to get rid of. Um, so it is funny when I'll sometimes see comments of people who are so sure, like they, did the wrong move because of this. It's like we saw, or I would have done this. It's like, so we try to expand our view beyond that, but we understand we can't always. Now, what was funny to me was Mark in his confessional said he was closing in on who the traitors were. Dude, there were 5 people left. I mean, that's a pretty damn good shot, of closing in on them. No, the walls were closing in on you, but he was pretty sure one was Eric. Yes, but that wasn't going to get you there.
Yeah, yeah. It basically seems like Rob was continuing to do what he had done thus far in terms of protect Eric at all costs. So that's why he
Yes.
got rid of Kristen, because she mentioned him, and he thought that Mark was starting to do the same. And yeah, last time you and I predicted that it would be one of the skaters. They would break up the duo.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong. However, I will say I'm gonna give myself fake credit. I thought that they would murder Tara because Johnny was easier to banish. And I guess that kind of happened, right? Johnny goes next.
Right.
So I,
Yeah.
I'm I'm
Yeah.
I'm going to give myself credit a little bit.
Sure. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. It was so then it was funny when afterwards, Rob is like, I thought it would be one of us, 50-50 because we're just so obviously faithful. I think he may have said that later too. And it's just like, okay, dude, you're overacting a little bit, but they clearly didn't notice that. But of course, Maura, she said it at the end of the previous episode. She said it all throughout the previous episode. And then she said it right here. I don't understand how the hell I'm still in this game. So that
yeah.
is why I'm wearing this hat. And I don't know that you could see it. It is from Rush's Roll the Bones album. And we'll you could see Roll the Bones on there. If you saw the side of it, there's a kid kicking a skull. And I really should have worn it last week, but didn't think about it till we were talking about it because the song of that same name has some lyrics that echo the question we laughed about last week, saying, "Why are we here? Because we're here. Roll the bones. Why does it happen? Because it happens. Roll the bones." And so it's just with that could have been the theme song for last week and Mora in general. They should just play a different version of this song over her every time. And if I had the time, I would go back and like get all her clips of saying that and play it over a version of the song. I just don't have that kind of time to find where she said each individual occasion.
Yeah.
But Maura Stans assured me that she was brilliant and she was going to win this game because she knew everything. So just keep that in mind. We, we,
Yeah.
we obviously we were wrong.
Yeah, I've made a few comments on that throughout this episode that we'll come back to, and I had the
Me
same note
too.
of yeah, Mora saying, "I just don't understand how the hell am I still in this game?" I just sort of think, do the next step, Mora. Like answer the question for yourself, but it's just not coming, and it never comes.
No.
Uh, Breakfast the next day, Eric comes in for the players. It's the same format every season. They come in one by one, and we get a little reflection on their time in the castle and
Mm-hmm.
how they played and what their thoughts are going into the final. Eric is talking to us about how he always tries to put others first, and he's a good guy, and obviously that's in conflict with this game, which is maybe a little bit of foreshadowing about how it's going to turn out for Eric. And
Yes. Now,
yeah.
before
Oh,
we have to talk about the important parts here because,
yes.
hey, they focus in on the smoked salmon at breakfast, but
Oh, David, what
I
have you
bet
got
it isn't
there?
as good as Acme smoked fish. which I enjoyed while watching the finale last night. And I have some left for breakfast for myself this morning. So I will be eating breakfast along with them. And, thank you to Acme Smoked Fish for sending this to me. This is this is great. We talked about it on the podcast, and they were like, "Hey, can we send you some?" And we were like, "Sure." And it's even for you there. It's I don't know if you could see it. It's
Ooh,
Scottish style.
Scottish style.
So
Ooh.
so we've got that, and of course you can find them at acmesmokedfish.com if you want to order some yourself. But they're in New York. I presume they're in stores in New York as well. I don't know if they're in other stores, but yes. So I've had some already. It is quite good. So
There you
I will
go.
be enjoying this while you talk.
And they shipped it all the way to you. By the way, they are not paying us to
Yes.
say this. They
No.
just
No.
kindly reached out and said, "Hey, you guys, you love the Traitors. You're going to be watching the finale. They love smoked salmon on the Traitors," which is very kind of them. That was very cool. And it was sent to you in time for the finale, David. Very happy for you. Well done.
Yep.
And
Showed up in a with ice packs and everything outside my
oh,
door yesterday in time. I'm eating it. If you hear crunching, I'm eating it on. I didn't have any bagels, so I'm eating it on bagel chips, which is good. But I didn't
the
see
next
any
best thing.
bagels in the. I didn't see any bagels in the castle either, so I don't know if they just ate it plain or had
Yeah,
it on a
yeah,
croissant or something like that.
yeah, perhaps. Uh, enjoy. And Mora arrives next, hopefully getting some smoked salmon. There's only five left. I'm sure they all get a little bit this time. She is saying again she can't believe she's in the final and tells us a bit about how it takes her a long time to trust people. And I thought, really? Like Rob, who you met 3 weeks ago? Okay. And says she's never won anything in her life. I had to check. I know that she was on Love Island. That's really how she became famous here in the UK. She didn't win that season, and I'll just have to take her word for it. She's never won anything. I'm sure she probably has at some point.
I
And
mean, she may never have won anything, but as all the Mora stands have told me repeatedly, she is very successful. She is worth several $1 million now, thanks to this. She's gotten some modeling gigs and some advertising gigs. And apparently, according to Google, she gets paid quite a lot of money for social media posts.
yeah,
So she may not have won. And this is what some of the more people were like, well, she doesn't have to win to make money off of it and to be successful. Hey, if she's successful off of it, great, good for her. I don't understand it personally, but if I didn't see Love Island. If she's successful, great. When we comment on Mora, it is Mora in the game.
right.
And people don't seem to understand that. I would post something that said, Mora has no clue what's going on. Oh, yes, she does. She's a millionaire and da 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 da. Yeah, that has nothing to do with the game. I don't care how
Right.
much money you have. That has literally nothing to do with the game. And for some reason, these people can't, well, they're stands. We've talked about stands before. Rational thought doesn't matter to them if you're a stan.
Yeah. And I said she's never won anything in her life. That's not true. She has won the genetic lottery. She's very beautiful.
Yes.
And
Yes.
maybe that's assisted by other means. I have no idea, but she's
Yeah.
a very beautiful woman. And yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure, again, very media savvy and gets social media.
Hmm.
Well done. Happy for you, Maura.
Yes. Happy for you, but this was not an act. For
Yes, this was
everyone who
not.
said it was an act, this was not an act in any way, shape, or form. She truly never had a clue what was going on. But she did say Tara is definitely a faithful, and her. So she's right about that, but her gut tells her Rob isn't a traitor, but she has a little bit of doubt. And, so it's like, I think that was put in there mostly just to keep us
Yeah,
guessing through the whole episode there. But the part about her thinking Tara is definitely a traitor does, you could give her pause when Rob and Eric keep telling her, we've got to vote out Tara, we've got to vote out Tara. And, and that's, I like what Eric says when they're together that they need to be careful and they can't split at all, reinforcing this idea like whoever we go for, we have to
yeah,
go for them together.
yeah, exactly. Rob arrives and talks about how it's been mentally challenging. He compares it to a chess game. We now know he actually does play chess and did it a few times in the castle with people. And yeah, he's telling again, like you said, he's telling Mora and Eric, Johnny, then Tara, no matter what. And I get there is a moment where uh, throughout the episode, yes, the power of editing is great. They are very carefully using any moments they can to suggest that Mora might be about to U-turn. I was pretty sure she wasn't gonna, and they were just tricking us. So there's a moment here where when Rob says, Johnny then Tara, no matter what, Mora goes, what? Like as if she's suddenly onto something. Like, why are you saying? She really wasn't. She was probably just responding to something else, or was
Right.
just processing information a little slowly. I don't know. Uh,
Yeah,
Johnny.
I do want to say I felt the urge to fast forward to the end to find out what happens, just so I could get past all of this. Let's pause. Let's see. Let's draw it out because I knew that was only going to continue. I did not,
Yeah.
but man, I felt the urge to because it was just, I knew this was going to happen. And by the way, speaking of breakfast stuff, when Rob came in, he ate a hard boiled egg one bite at a time instead of putting the whole
Oh,
thing in his mouth all at
hey.
once. So my gif of that was finally approved like less than a week ago. It took 2 weeks for Tenor to approve it. And I think, was that one of the ones? I can't remember now. But whenever it's now been used over 600 times already,
Hey.
just that one gif. So
It's Rob eating eggs is popular. Who knew?
yes, I
There's a
wish I
market
got
for
like a
it.
commission for having sent them that.
Yeah. Yeah, they should. Johnny is next. He's talking about the ups and downs of the game, comparing it to the Olympics and so on. And then it's Tara, and she talks about how wrong she's been in the game, and she really just keeps doubting herself, but has faith the faithful can win, and says, we just have to be smart. Which is really fun. It's just funny when people say, like, as if it's only occurred to them now. Or A, it's just occurred to them now we have to be smart, and B, that's a decision you can make. Like, you're either gonna be smart or you're not. Like, you can't decide to be smart. And I'm not saying anything about Tara. Like, she seems really lovely and cool and very nice, but you can't now decide to be good at the game. That's not gonna work.
Hmm.
Sorry, Tara.
Yeah.
They have a chat about Mark's murder, and yes, this is where, like you said, Rob is saying, "Yeah, I knew it would be." I think he said it before, and he's saying it again. I knew it would be one of us. We're the most trusted, and yeah, I did have it. They keep playing these little sound effect stings and shots of Mora looking pensive, and I thought you're kind of just faking us out. I I think Mora is so in the dark. They have to just pretend maybe she's figuring things out. But I'm pretty confident she absolutely isn't at this point. They're just doing some clever editing trickery to make us think that.
It reminds me of a recent season we watched where there was lots of that similar editing
Mm,
trickery to make us think it was going to go one way and then it went another way. And
yeah,
some people will know what we're talking about and some won't. So we'll just
yeah.
leave it at that.
And by the way, I'll admit I'm not like immune to it. Like I still get so excited watching these finales. Like by the time it gets to the round table in the end game, my heart is racing watching it because I don't know what way it's. The logical part of me is trying to read into the editing and saying I've seen this so many times. I know what they're doing to us, but I still fall for it. It's still part of me. But that's fun. Like I'm not complaining. That's fun. That's why I love it. I love not knowing what's going to happen and having those moments of tension and the possibility that
Well,
it could all go pear-shaped. So,
and
it's
there have
fun.
been seasons. I mean, I remember one in particular from years ago that it was an international season where we were sure it was going to go a certain way. A faithful had been dedicated to this one person the whole way who
Right.
was a traitor. And it'll, as a hint, we have had this person as a guest host on the podcast since then. So anyone who knows knows. But we were sure that no, he was just going to go along and lose the game. And at the last vote, at the last minute, flipped.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it has happened. It can happen. It would have needed Mora's brain to spark in a certain way. Now, Rob made that very unlikely by prepping her the entire season, basically.
Yeah.
But it can still happen.
Right. I was thinking of the exact same season. I know what you're referring to, David. I very much thought about that in this episode. And yeah, sometimes at the last minute, it might not even be a spark because someone has pieced things together or someone says something to plant
Hmm.
an idea. Sometimes it is just paranoia. It's so tense at that last banishment or endgame or whatever.
Right.
Not that I've been on the show, but I can imagine that it's incredibly intense. You've got all these cameras pointing at you. You know that millions of people are going to be watching this. It's a huge amount of money at stake. You can just freak out.
And you don't want to
And
look like a fool. You don't want
yeah,
to look like the person who has been fooled the entire time. So sometimes, yeah, they'll switch or they'll at least consider switch just to avoid looking like the fool. Of
yeah.
course, sometimes switching can make you look like the fool.
Right. Alan arrives at breakfast and tells them Mark may have danced with the stars, but didn't have the footwork for the Traitors tango. Smash goes the portrait. By the way, a few people have messaged me saying, Matthew, do you know that Mark is the son of Shirley Ballas? So I don't know if you know this, David, but Shirley
I told
is.
you. I
Oh, right, you
messaged you
told
that.
me. So a lot of people have said, Matthew, did you know this? I did know this, and the thing is, I'm obsessed with Shirley Ballas. I know this is very unlikely. I love the UK version of it's called Strictly Come Dancing here, not Dancing with the Stars. So yeah, Shirley's what is the like the head judge. Um, I kind of crossed paths with Shirley a little bit through my line of work, and she is amazing to me, and I'm obsessed with her. So I weirdly already knew who Mark Ballas was before this because I'm obsessed with Shirley Ballas. So yes, I know the connection. It's very cool. It's just weird they didn't talk about it much in the show, but hey, I guess he's famous in his own right in the States. Anyway,
Right.
the prize fund is $180,800 at this point. And Alan reminds them that no one's identity will be revealed after after banishment from now on. And tells them it's time for your final mission. Let's end with a splash, shall we? Ooh, what does this mean? I'm thinking Johnny's gonna hate this. Remember that he told
Yes.
us he only likes frozen water and he fell in the loch in that first mission. Uh, and we get a moment of Johnny in confessional saying, to me, Eric and Rob are the remaining traitors. He's got it. Again, there only are five of
And
you left, but at least he's got
yeah.
both of them.
Yeah. And they should have stuck to their guns instead of letting Natalie go. It's like too late now.
Uh, Too little, too late. And
Yes.
yes, he says Eric's been under the radar this whole time, and yes, the Candace throwaway vote was some sort of clue to Rob's identity. Off they move around the castle. Johnny
It's a
and
lot easier
Tara.
to know the clues when you already have the answer.
Right,
You
exactly. Now
know.
that they know she was a
Yeah.
a traitor, and now that we're watching this in hindsight,
Yeah.
and yeah, Johnny and Tara go off together, have their little, moment to figure out what's her plan, what are we doing. He basically tells Tara, "Look, it's Eric and Rob, and we're gonna
Hmm.
have to get a third vote on our side." I already thought this is a very difficult hill to climb. I don't know how
Oh
you are
yeah.
gonna get Rob to Mora's the only one that's gonna do it, and I just thought you've kind of backed yourselves into a corner. I don't think you're going to be able to do this. Yeah, you two are a great
Yeah.
duo, and you're going to stick together. That's not enough for someone else to come on board.
Yeah, I will give credit to Tara when she finally started decided to start playing the game. Uh, she went for it, they went in
Yeah,
there. They clearly determined that she must be the one who's more likely to be able to convince Mora. And, and so yeah, I mean they went in on her, especially Tara, and at the same time, Rob and Eric are pushing Johnny, then Tara. And Mora's like, oh, I thought it was only one. But Eric's like, oh, no, it's both. That's why they stayed apart early in the game. And I do find that an interesting way to spin things. I did not think that would come back to haunt them at this point, but it is an interesting point. And then it gets brought up again much later, but and expanded upon. But it's like, yes, you guys were both made traitors, so you stayed far apart from each other. And then when you thought it was safe, you came back together again, which is, totally wrong. That's not what happened. But it makes for a very good story. And they put themselves in that position because of the way they, the secret they kept and then revealed.
Yeah. And Rob has another take on that that we'll come to
Yeah.
when it is time for the round table that I thought was very good fake reasoning on his part. Uh, we see Maura, Rob, and Eric in the billiards room, and Eric and Rob, of course, are trying to convince Maura that Johnny and Tara are both traitors. And she says, "Well, what if it's just one of them?" And Eric and
Hmm.
Rob are like, "No, no, it's both. No, no, no."
Yeah.
And again, there was a moment where I thought, will Maura pick up on how insistent they're being? Will she read into it and go away and question why are they so obsessed with it? Is there something going on? But no, I mean, maybe it crosses her mind, but it's certainly not enough for her to follow
Hmm.
it up and act on it. Tara and Johnny then arrive, and this is where Tara goes off with Maura, tries to convince her it's Eric. Eric's the traitor, and Maura is sort of like, and I don't know
Do
if
you do you
this is where
think
she's
it could be?
acting. she's like, she's just sort of like, whoa, like
Yeah.
mind blown, as if this has never occurred to her. And Tara's saying the same arguments we've heard. Eric's very quiet. He doesn't name suspects. And she says, "I'm Maura. I'm so calm today. That I feel so calm because I'm certain this is what's going on." And she affirms it's not Johnny. I know Johnny inside out. He's absolutely not a traitor. And Mora seems to be on board with it. This is where I can't tell if Mora is just lying to Tara and pretending to go along with her, or if she really is flip-flopping back and forth. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
She says, Tara is very convincing, but she also says, I don't want to think too much. And I'm like, yeah,
yes,
don't hurt yourself. Don't strain, don't strain anything there.
right.
Trying to think too much, and but again, what about all the Mora stands who told me she's had it figured out since the beginning?
Exactly.
She shouldn't have to think too much. I don't
I
understand what all these. I, I mean, as shocked as Mora is going to end up being, I want to know, are the Mora stands shocked, or are they just going to somehow rewrite history in their own minds?
yeah, I have the exact same note here of Mora
Yeah.
saying, I just don't want to think too much. My brain can't take much more." And I it's just funny in general,
Yeah.
but also we've seen the comments online on your videos, like people saying, "No, no, Mora's a genius. This is a plan. She's got it all in
Hmm.
hand. She's coming for Rob." And I'm not having a go at Mora. Like, I mean, I'm a little bit, but I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
saying she's an idiot. Ha ha ha. I'm coming at the fans who have been so obsessed with the idea that Mora's a secret genius. I'm like, well, where was your evidence, and where is that evidence now? Like, it was maybe like just like yeah, like you said it already, David. You don't need to online obsessively defend your faves only to
With
then look a bit silly with no
Yeah.
evidence.
Yeah. I mean, when we say something, like I made a prediction about something and I was wrong. And it wasn't even about this show. It was about Survivor. I made a prediction about something. It was wrong. And someone came back to try and like, oh, you were totally wrong. Yeah, I was. Okay. It was a prediction. That happens.
Yeah.
I was shooting in the dark in this particular case. I was, trying to figure out what some special advantage did in Survivor just by the name. Uh, you're not hurting me by telling me I was wrong in a prediction. I knew when I made the prediction I could be wrong. And
Right.
so, sometimes that'll happen when I'm live posting a show too. I'll be like, oh, this doesn't, this looks good for this person. Then that person will get voted out. And someone will come back hours or a day later, after I was live posting in real time and be like, God, you were wrong. Yeah, it was live posting. I was reacting in the moment. That is different than saying, against all evidence, this person is a genius. And it doesn't matter that it goes beyond everything we've seen. And so that's what, like some people have posted. Well, I think that this and this and this. And I'm like, how about we just, instead of creating conspiracy theories, we stick to what's actually been presented to us
Right.
in
Yeah.
some form or another. And so, yes, it is true that before I got on here this morning, I went to one of my videos where a bunch of Mora stands were who said, who were defending her and saying, well, let's just wait and see. You'll see. And I may have commented the same comment to a bunch of them saying, would you like to care to comment now that the season is over?
Yeah, I think you probably won't get much response there. And
It'll be interesting if I do. I'll discuss it in the Q&A episode. If
yes.
they come back with new excuses, which I believe most of them will be like, well, it doesn't matter. She only did this show for exposure anyway. I think that's what most of them will say if they say anything. They may just block me, who knows? But if they say anything, it will be, well, it doesn't matter because she won the game of life. It's like, yeah, that's not what I'm talking about here.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Lisa, she won, David. She didn't
Oh yeah.
lose. She's a winner. She's an
Yeah.
icon. We next up we get this weird what I thought was a weird moment. I've realized now that nothing ever came of this. I don't know if you spotted this. There's some sort of odd moment where Rob and Eric are alone in the kitchen. Maura and Tara are walking along the corridor towards them, and it looks like I know that Eric is about to hug Rob or like pat him on the back and be like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
we've got this." And it's almost as if they're building as it to the woman catching them and being like, "Why are you two
Hmm.
hugging?" And I and then they cut away. I assume it's like a commercial break,
Well, there
and
is
then we come back to like the mission next.
so there
And
is
I
a
thought,
commercial there. Oh, so
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought this was going to be. I thought something maybe happens here that later in the episode we'll flash back to it.
Hmm.
And we get Mora and Tara like, haha, we caught you in the kitchen having a bro moment and we realized you were the. But actually, no. It just, they built us up for nothing, I thought.
No Traitors season would ever have a woman catching two guys alone, two traitors alone having a bro moment. That would never happen, by them walking down the hall and overhearing me. That would never happen in any season of the Traitors in any part of the
No.
world.
Yes, it very much reminded me of something that may have happened somewhere in the world on a
Yes.
Traitor season.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that's what was about to happen. But hey, you know what? If Mora and Tara walked in, they could just pretend. Actually, we've fallen in love,
Yeah.
and you've caught us having a private romantic moment. But no, it was just a nothing. It was just like
Yeah.
a fake out. So,
Yeah.
and
Do you want to talk about the ad because it's another ad featuring a player? It's featuring Rob.
oh,
He
is this I didn't see the ad here, but I have
right.
seen another ad online with Rob and Lisa. Is this what you're
No,
talking
this
about?
is just
Oh, this is
Rob
another.
pushing kind protein granola
Oh.
because he's the kindness king. And it just kind of extends like it's like ad reps sitting at a table talking to him like we want you to do this and we want you to do that and oh you're the kindness king. So I think it's playing off of him his his cult, just taking it into the real world.
Right.
Now I don't think Eric would agree he's the kindness king. It's a good thing this ad appeared before. I don't think Maura would necessarily agree. It's funny. Well, I know Candace and Lisa wouldn't agree. So it's funny that they're saying he's the kindness king when he was the traitor who slit everyone else's throat, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen another ad online with Rob and Lisa, and it's like a burger thing. It's like a fast food. I don't know
Hmm,
if you've seen this.
I might
They've
have.
they've obviously filmed it after the show and they make little jokes about he betrayed her and
Hmm.
so I thought, well, you know what? If they were willing to do this silly camp ad together, she can't be that mad. I mean, I'm sure
Right,
they were paid a fortune for it, so
right.
that probably sweetened the deal. Um, at this moment, by the way, I just had this horrible feeling, with that little fake, they're about to catch Rob and Eric conspiring together in the kitchen. I had this horrible feeling, oh God, is Mara going to win this with Tara and Johnny? This is awful. And then I was sort of theorizing
Hmm.
about what was going to happen next. And I thought, wait a minute, what exactly is Johnny and Tara's plan? If they get out Eric, what next? It then just becomes two versus two. It just becomes Johnny and
Well,
Tara
I think that they
versus
were I because
Rob and
be,
Mara.
because Tara has already dropped the seed that Rob could be too. I think if they proved Eric was a traitor, the skaters could come back and say, see, we were right about that. You have to join us with Rob. Because otherwise, yeah, it would have come down to a tie. And I think they would have pushed to flip Tara, to flip Mora. And, would it have worked? Well, obviously not, because it didn't
Yeah,
work to begin with. But this was their only play at this point, because they had waited so long into the game to actually do something that they didn't have numbers anymore. And quite
yeah.
frankly, they were lucky to both still be there. So, I mean, this was their play at this
But
moment in time. Was That's
and
all
one
they
of the
could do.
flaws in that is that whoever was banished next isn't going to reveal their status. So even if they do get
Oh,
Eric
you're right.
out, it doesn't prove he's not going to say I'm a traitor. Yeah, so
Right.
Morris still like,
You're
okay,
right. I
he's
forgot
gone,
about
but
that
I don't
part.
know if we were right. So it just felt like
I mean, that
I don't know what the next step was. It
and
just
this was
felt like it was going to become a tie,
yeah, this was
if
their
anything.
flaw in their plan. Was they waited until they were so low that they couldn't do anything but tie it.
Right, right. Uh,
Um,
I, oh, you're typing, David. Do you? I thought. I wonder if you're like Chat GPT. What was going to happen next? Do you
no,
think? And
sorry, I
then
didn't know you could see or hear that. I was typing myself a note for later, but yeah,
I just saw you deep in thought, and I thought, oh,
yes,
David's searching something very
no,
important.
no,
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 no, note to self. Okay.
just something for later, that I want to
Oh,
bring up.
I can't wait to hear it. It's
Yes,
time for the mission, and Alan is prepping them while this helicopter. Of course, there's always a helicopter at the end, and he's been,
right.
especially the US one. Sometimes I don't know if there was in the UK, but helicopter appears. Mora's ecstatic about it. She's really into the helicopter. She's desperate to go on it, and they agree that yes, she can go on it with Rob. He's pretty happy with that because he wants to keep her away from Johnny and Tara. The
Hmm.
less time they have together, the better. And then in the car, we've got Johnny, Tara, and Eric. And the
Now, I,
skaters are pretty. Yeah, on you go.
I do have to comment because when Alan greeted them, he looks like a toddler drew on his eyes with a black marker. Or the
I,
other thing it later reminded me of was I've seen this happen in my college days. I was not in a frat, but I've seen people who ended up this way, like a college guy who passed out drunk with his fellow frat brothers around, and they drew
and they've
on him.
drawn all of them.
Yeah, that is what Alan looked like. I'm sorry, I don't know what it was supposed to be, but it really did look like that.
I have thoughts on Alan's styling this episode when it. I did so I didn't write anything down here.
Mhm.
When it comes to the end game, good God, I have thoughts, so I'll save it for then.
Okay. The
Uh,
other thing about choosing the team for the helicopter, besides
yes.
Mora being like, "I'm getting in that, please, guys," and it feels to me like if Tara and Eric couldn't go on a carnival ride,
Mm,
they probably wouldn't be
yeah.
able to go on a swooping helicopter either.
Yes.
So it was, maybe that's why we only see Johnny saying, "Yes, Rob, you can go," or "Yes, Mora, you can." Like, really, it was only one person's decision there that
Yeah.
that mattered.
Yeah, definitely. And then Johnny and Tara and Eric are in the car because they're
Hmm.
a little team now, and the skaters are pressing Eric on his suspicions. Come on, what do you think? Do you suspect them at all? Do you trust Mora? And as ever, he's fairly non-committal.
Right.
I sort of was yelling at the TV a little, like, just say something, Eric. Just say, like, and eventually, I think I don't know what
He
his exact
says,
words are, but
"I don't know anything about her." And
right,
when he says that, Tara and Johnny exchange this meaningful look, like, "Aha, we got him." And I'm like, "Oh, they're going to try to use this to,
yeah.
run it back to Mora later." But first of all, it still hasn't occurred to Johnny and Tara that you can lie in this game.
Right. He
Like, you didn't actually need to get Eric to say anything. No one's going to polygraph you. No one's going to, throw the replay flag and say, "Well, we want to actually see what happened in the car."
yeah.
You could, I mean, and in a way, when Tara brings this up later, she does, because she says, "Well, Eric brought up your name." No, you brought up her
Yeah.
name and tried to get Eric to talk. But
Yeah.
like they didn't think they could say anything until Eric opened his mouth. It's like, no, you don't have to get him to say anything. Just make it up.
Right.
But I mean, these are the same two who couldn't even join the crowd in voting Tara in the Jack in the Box mission to give Rob more money in the end. So, because they're like, we're playing
Of
this game
course.
honestly.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Meanwhile, in the helicopter, we've got Mora and Rob, and Mora talks to him about Eric, and she thinks it's him, and they ought to go for him at the round table. So Rob perhaps has this dilemma. I mean, I don't think he does really. He knows that if Eric goes, he only has Mora to rely on moving forward against the
Mm-hmm.
skaters, which is maybe why he should have murdered one of them. But I think Rob just didn't think the others would move on. I think maybe he thought with Mark not around, Eric was fine. But then where else were Johnny and Tara gonna look? Like, maybe it should have
Right.
been clearer
No,
to
I think
Rob that Eric was in trouble.
yeah. I mean, I thought my whole thing, well, part of my whole thing last week was he would get rid of one of the skaters and then make a deal. Well, he would get rid of Johnny in particular and make a deal with Mark. Hey, we'll get rid of Tara and then Eric.
Hmm.
But he ended up making that deal with someone else instead, basically. And so would Mark have been more formidable to try to work around? Yes. So I do understand, somewhat why he did it. I still think it was a big risk, but it worked out for him. So it's hard to say one way or another. I mean, it might have worked out for him the other way too. We really don't know what was going to happen with. This is not a choose your own adventure novel. You can't go back and be like, oh well, what would have happened if?
Right.
Uh, so yeah, but then as they're talking here, she also what'd she say? She said that Tara thinks that she thinks I have too many pronouns in my notes. She thinks he thinks they're stupid enough to not think he's a traitor, but they're not that stupid. And Rob knows he can't let that happen. But I lost track of where my pronouns were there in those terms. But it's all about Mora saying that, oh, other people think that I'm too stupid, but of course I'm not gonna be stupid.
No. Yes, of course. As for the mission itself, Eric, Johnny, and Tara are on the lock. They're going to move between floating pontoons. Each one has a question about events that have happened in the
Mm-hmm.
game so far. It's a memory observation type mission. And Rob and Mora in the helicopter have key cards representing each player in the game. They have to choose the player that they think is the correct answer to the questions. They're speaking over radio. Attach it to a float. The float has money amounts written on it from $500 up to 9,000. Drop it into the lock. Pick the amount that represents how confident you feel about this being the right answer. Smoke will billow from the pontoon to show whether they've got the answer right or not. Have this feeling they're going to do pretty well here. I'll fairly quickly run through what the questions are and the answers. There's not much, strategy going on. It's fairly straightforward. Which player
Mm-hmm.
was the last to have a coffin put in their grave in the first mission? The answer's Mark. Rob's not totally sure about it. It's correct. They get $500 for this one. Alan makes a little joke about Scottish people having such great skin because of the constant moisture there. I don't in Scotland anymore, but yes, that's why that's what I'll take credit for that. Question two: which player sat opposite the murdered player? Sorry, at the Black Banquet. It was Colton. Correct. Hooray! $9,000. It's now pouring with rain,
Mm-hmm.
and I will say that Scottish rain is not pleasant, tropical, refreshing rain. It's cold and horrible, and usually windy at the same time.
I
Question
have not
three: what?
experienced Scottish rain. I have experienced Welsh rain.
Probably
Uh,
pretty similar. Yeah. No.
because we were on we were actually at the bay, Cardiff Bay,
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, were you
there was
there for like Doctor Who stuff?
yes, yeah. When the doctor,
Hey.
well, I think I told you that. When you thought it was a lie, I think at that time. But
Yes.
yeah, it was there was not a cloud in the sky, and then all of a sudden it was pouring rain,
Yeah.
and we were freezing. And so there were vendors there who clearly knew this. They live there, they understand. So there were like umbrellas right at the front of the store. Like you go in a little
Yeah.
a little convenience store, and there were umbrellas there. And so we bought four umbrellas for the family, and then it stopped raining like 20 minutes later and was perfectly sunny for the entire rest of the time. So we're sitting here with these four extra umbrellas. We're like, what do we do with these?
Well, in the UK, it's best to, no matter what it looks like outside, I just always take an umbrella in my bag. You never know.
Well,
Uh,
especially on a bay, I
yes, on a
guess,
bay, exactly.
yeah.
Or in
Uh,
Scotland. Anyway,
so so
so
it cleared
Alan's
up
there
in
with
time
his
for
umbrella.
the outdoor Doctor Who walking, sites walking
Ah,
tour. So
there you go. It all turned out well.
yes.
So Alan is getting soaked to the Scottish rain. Next question is which player started and ended on a shield throne at the second mission? I'm not kidding when I say I still don't know who Caroline is.
Yeah.
Caroline's the answer. I have honestly got no memory of who that is.
Wasn't she the housewife who mouthed off at Lisa Rinna? Or no, Lisa Rinna shot back at her when
Oh, her.
she said I'll see you at
She was
BravoCon, and
tied
she
to
was
the
like, yeah,
tree,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Genuinely, not until this moment have I been able to remember who that person is. Okay, at the
If she
time, I
hadn't
was
done
like a
that, I
little,
wouldn't
little,
remember her either.
yeah.
So
I was like, it'll come back to me. Okay, no, still right now, didn't know.
yeah,
Okay, they know they've remembered her, and they get
right.
$3,000. Final question: which housewife received the most overall votes? They know that it's Lisa. Correct. I think $7,500 for now. They race back to Alan. They've got 10 minutes left. Do they make it? But there's a twist. Alan pauses the clock. They've got 5 minutes, 20 seconds left. There's a final box worth an extra 20k. However, the card they need isn't in the box they have in the helicopter. It's in the lock. It's attached to a buoy, as you would say, or a buoy, as I would say. Someone in the helicopter has to jump. Oh my goodness, they're wearing wetsuits. How could we have possibly known that was going to
Ah,
happen?
I mean,
Mora
they
can't.
are soaking wet. I mean, maybe that's why.
Yes.
But as a matter of fact, Mora at one point said she'd love a hot bath now, and I was like, a hot bath or a drink of Rob's bath water.
Well, it's both. It's both
Yeah.
have happened. And yeah, Rob has to do it. Mora can't swim. He jumps out, disappears for a while. Dramatic pause. Maybe Rob's dead. They've
Yeah,
killed
I know.
someone in the traitors. It's a long wait, and it's okay. He's alive. Oh, thank God. I was worried. And he swims slowly but surely to the final card. It's by the way, there's a moment, they cut back to the people on the shore. Johnny is literally shaking. It's so cold.
Yes.
Rob's lost a shoe, but he makes it back. He's running along the dock. He's got seconds to spare. It's like Bruce Willis in an action movie. Boom! Flares, explosions, hurrah! Who knew they were going to succeed in that final mission?
Yeah, in
It's so
5 minutes,
unlikely.
he jumped off a helicopter, swam to the buoy, swam all the way in, and ran up. He made it in 5 minutes. It's amazing.
Yeah, amazing. 5 seconds to spare. And that means now the prize fund is $220,800. Ooh. Alan, of course, prepares them. Final round table on the way. Let's get them all excited. And then it'll be the end game. Off they go. We're in the cars. They're all dreading this final round table. Mora tells Rob she's sure it's Eric and it's one of Johnny and Tara, and he's still trying to convince her. No, maybe it's just both of the skaters. It's both Johnny and Tara, and I think it is Rob who says. I haven't written who said this. One of them says, "No, it must be Rob. Unless something crazy happens,
Yeah.
we're gonna win." And nothing crazy ever happens at the final episode of
Well,
Traitors.
two different
So,
people said it at some point
right,
during the
yes, minutes later,
yeah,
Tara says the
yeah,
exact same thing.
yeah.
Yeah, back at the castle, she's like, unless something crazy happens. Uh, she reconvenes with Johnny. They're still sure it's Eric, it's Rob. We've got to stick together to the end, and so on. And Johnny does worry what Mora might come for one of us at the round table. But yeah, Tara's sort of like, no, no, I've convinced her, it's fine. And again, talks in confessional about feeling really calm today, and she's an Olympian. She works best when the pressure's on. She obviously doesn't work that well. And at the Olympics, yes, at the Traitors, that same strategy hasn't worked. She takes Mora aside again, and they talk about it's going to be so hard at this round table. Tara's insisting it's Eric, and like earlier, Mora seems like she might go ahead with this. It seems like she's convinced by Tara. But again, well, I think Mora asks her, well, like what happens after that? And Tara just says, well, then it's you and me, and I've always trusted you. Then I thought, well, doesn't Mora realize? Like, what does she think's going to happen next? Like, if Johnny's still around, Johnny and Tara are clearly going to go after
Right.
Rob. So I don't know how she reasons with that. Like, I don't know.
I mean,
So
it
maybe
may
that
just
is the
be
maybe that is the clue that Mora is
right.
not going to go along with them.
And that's the thing. We don't know. Like Rob may have had a talk with her and said, "Look, I know Tara's been coming at you. If you want her to stop, just agree with her." Not that
Yeah.
I think, Moore is a particularly great actress in these sorts of things,
Mm.
but maybe he did tell her that. Just agree with her and whatever. And of course, in his mind, well, not in his mind, in what he says, he's also told her that they'll vote for Eric afterwards. So that
Yeah. Right.
I believe they pinky promise, as a matter of fact, which becomes very important later.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and then after that, Maura and Eric talk and with Rob in the room, and Maura says, "I would never vote for you," and Rob's like, "I know she's lying, could
Yeah.
she be lying?" And this is where another one of those "could she be lying to me too" situations comes up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was an odd moment the way that Rob phrased it. He says,
hmm
I can tell she's lying," and he says something like, "It's the way she talks to me when she says she
yeah,
trusts me," and I thought, "Oh, that's weird. Like, are you acknowledging that she might
yeah,
be lying to you?" It was just a funny way that he expressed it.
yeah. That was a very strange series of cut together phrases. I feel like,
Mm,
edited together phrases there.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Yes. Which never happens on these
no,
shows. It's weird.
no.
It's time for the round table then. Here we go. We're getting ready. Coming in, we've got confessionals of Johnny talking about, of course, sticking with Tara. Wants to get Eric out. Eric is praying that Mora doesn't turn on him. Rob is desperate for Eric not to be banished. He reckons his whole game rests on Eric still being
Yep.
here. And Mora thinks that Eric and Johnny are the traitors, and but she doesn't know who she should go for first. And yeah, I
Wait,
do.
hi, hi. But the Morristand says she knew Rob was the traitor.
Of course, yeah, she knew all along. She was planning all of
How many
this.
times can I mention this before we start getting comments in the YouTube page? Like, okay, David, enough. We get your point. And now I've ensured that someone will, in fact, put a comment that says, okay, David, enough. We get your point.
Yeah.
But if you were on the receiving end as many comments as I was, you'd be saying the same thing. So,
I mean, the thing is, and we've talked about this many times before on the podcast, because it
hmm
comes up every season that someone claims one player's a secret genius and they're faking it
yes,
all along. Why, if that's the case, why don't we ever see Mora in confessionals
right.
saying, "Here's my secret plan, haha." Like, why wouldn't I? I
Well, the
guess the
excuse is
the
because they want
excuse
to
is,
save it as a surprise and
yeah, they want
have
it to
them
be a
turn on
surprise
the
for us, the viewer.
right.
Like, I
But
don't think that would be a surprise. That'd just be quite annoying.
yeah, that all of a sudden this person wins when there was no reason to believe they knew what they were doing the whole time.
Yeah,
That's annoying. Like you said, annoying is the perfect word. It's frustrating. Yeah, if we see someone win, we want to know how they got there.
yeah,
And yeah, don't wait until the end and say, haha, I was pretending the whole time. But also, would a person like that really be doing confessionals where they say, I don't know why I'm still here? I don't know what to think. My
Yeah,
brain hurts. I mean, just all these things. If you're a secret genius, you're not going to go into confessional and say those things.
right, right. And I mean, you kind of already maybe mentioned this, but when Maura's saying, "Oh, it's Eric or Johnny, I don't know who to go for
Right.
first," I wonder if Rob has said to her, "Look, if that's the way you feel, fine, but if you get Eric out first, like I said a few minutes ago,
Right.
if you get Eric out first, it just becomes us two against those two, and we're stuck. So look, if that's how you really feel, go for Johnny first, then get Eric." And I guess they kind of do have that conversation in the kitchen a little later.
Right. Yeah, I had that in my notes earlier, but we went past it so quickly, and I knew that we would eventually get there. I was like, well, if I was Rob, I would tell her this, and then it becomes clear that he must have. He must have said, "Here is our plan. We will get to the end, and then the two of us together, here's where the pinky promise comes in. We will get rid of Eric." And so I think that was what reassured her that, oh, okay, we're good. Because I don't know, in her mind, it was one skater and Eric. But if you get rid of both skaters, you've taken care of that aspect of things one way or another.
Yeah,
And then you get rid of Eric, and lo and behold, all is good in the world.
right.
Except,
Alan then welcomes them, reiterates it's the last round table, and it'll be Final Four, Endgame, and there will be no more reveals of identity after this. Well, from now on.
yeah.
Opens up the discussion. Unusually, it's Eric who begins, and I guess he knows that he's being accused of being too quiet, so he's gonna try and make up for it now. He says he's scared because and I thought this was a good angle to take. He's like, I'm actually the outcast here. I'm up against the Love
Mm-hmm.
Island too and the Olympic duo, and says that he knows he's up until now he's just sat back, he's listened. That's how he's treated the round tables. He's wanted to hear everybody else's ideas, and he affirms that he's a faithful. And just says right now, I'm probably going to vote for either Johnny or Tara. That's what I'm going to have to do. And so Rob jumps in and says, "Yes, like you talked about this earlier. It's odd. Johnny and Tara, you kept your distance from one
Mm-hmm.
another. And he says, we knew you were friends, but very suddenly you're besties for the resties, as he put it earlier. You're overnight. You're inseparable. That there's something odd going on here." So Johnny reiterates, "Well, no, that was our plan. We had to pretend we weren't as close as we really are to get to this point." And Maura's sort of going, "Oh, I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, sure." And Johnny says, "Look, there are probably two traitors left. I 99.99% know it isn't Tara. I just know it. I know her inside out. And I'm looking at the other three. I can't possibly believe that it's Maura. I've gotten to know you really well. You're authentic. I believe this is how you are, etc." Tara backs this up. Yeah, yeah. Obviously, they are trying to still sweeten up Mora, get Mora on side, flatter her, tell her that you get her, you're on her side, you trust
Yeah,
her no matter what.
it's funny to me one turn of phrase he used. I don't smell Mora at all. And I'm like, well, I hope not.
Yeah, yeah. And they both, the skaters both come for Eric
Hmm.
with the things that we've heard all along. He's too
Right.
quiet. He doesn't talk about who he suspects. He's never named anyone. And they also say faithful faithful have theories and then they passionately follow them up. You just don't do that. You don't show passion for it. And Eric's defense is, that's just not me. I'm not that kind of person. And he says, and even when I have had theories, if I had, I just haven't told them to you. You're not the people that I've been closest to in the game. My people were Kristen and Mark and Rob, etc.
Hmm.
And says, I've played as a faithful from beginning to end, which is half true. He was a faithful at the
Yeah.
start, and he says I would literally fall apart if I was a traitor. I can't look people in the eye when I'm lying. And actually, you know what? I thought Eric is he has done a much better job than I thought he would. He actually
Yes.
hasn't fallen apart, and he is lying to their faces fairly well here. I thought
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, at this moment in the roundtable, I was like, my notes consist of Eric defends himself, blah blah. I'm done with this roundtable. Come on, Alan, let's edit. And we know where four of the five votes are going. Let's see what Maura does. It's just
Yeah.
like, come on, we didn't need to drag this one out. Like you
Right.
had commented on some of the earlier, a few weeks ago, seeming short. This one, let's pick up the pace here. This did not need to be an hour and 10-minute episode with the same things being reiterated time and time
Right.
again. And just when I say that, then Tara's like, oh, and then there was what Eric said in the car. And I'm like, okay, fine. You bring that up. That's something new, whatever. But, and then, like I said, so after I get bored of it, they finally start bringing up a couple points because then Rob goes meta and says, wouldn't it be interesting if Alan picked one of the skaters, knowing they'd have to keep this secret from the other? And of course, if they had to recruit, they would obviously recruit the other. And obviously none of it's true, but it is a good piece of metagaming
Yeah.
and using apparent logic.
Right.
And then, obviously he's aiming it all at one person
Yes.
to try to get that final word in there.
Yeah. This is what I thought was really clever of Rob. That line of fake argument. I kind of believe if I was Mora or someone else at the table, that is quite convincing. Oh yeah, it would have been quite smart of them to pick one of the skaters, and oh yeah, they've recruited. Yeah, I can believe that as a genuine, faithful argument. So I thought that was smart of Rob. And by the way, when later on we'll have our final thoughts on the season,
Mm-hmm.
on the finale. This is one of the points I want to come to is how many people seemingly online have been very, in my opinion, wrongly critical of Rob. I think Rob
Mm-hmm.
has demonstrated himself to be very clever and tactical, and this was a great example of that. But
Right.
I'll come back to that. And at this point, yes, Alan ends the discussion, and like you said, David, it all rests on Mora. We know. You already know Mora's going to be the last vote. Like,
Yeah,
she's going
like
to be
I
the
wrote
reveal
down,
every
yeah, I
time.
wrote down, of course they're making more or less. I wrote down the four votes. Like Eric votes for Johnny, Johnny votes for Eric, Rob votes for Johnny, Tara votes for Eric, and Maura commercial. I mean, I wrote that all down beforehand and I was just like, I hate commercials. That was my note. It's like,
Right,
okay, come
yeah.
on, let's get through this. Let's go. Let's go. We just need to see Maura's vote. Move along.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, they vote the way we reckon they're going to vote. Eric goes for Johnny, Johnny goes for Eric, Rob, Johnny, Tara, Eric. I did also make a note again. I know we've talked about this before on other episodes. I don't think we've mentioned it today. There's still on camera or in the edit not talking about the gender split of traitors. They never mention, hey, the three traitors who've been banished so far have been women. Is there something we should consider there? Is it more likely that the next traitor is a man? But we just don't, we should never see them discuss it. It just, yeah, just struck me here.
I don't
Um,
know if it's because they didn't discuss it, really. It just never became a sticking point, I guess. Or if there was just enough other things
mm,
to fill the edit that producers didn't want to get into that whole issue. Like they
yeah.
thought it could somehow lead things astray. I don't know. I don't know.
And I wonder if Rob or Eric, particularly Rob, may have thought of that, but they're not going to mention it because it puts
Right,
them in the spot. So
right,
Rob's not going to say, "Hey, the next traitor's probably a guy." That looks bad for him. So maybe he
right.
has thought of it, but just
I,
keeps it to
I
himself.
I think he has, which is one reason. And we talked about this when he recruited Eric, and there were some people out there. Of course he recruits a man because he hates women, and it was like he recruited a man because it made the most sense for there to be a man because that way, if Eric got found out, he could point. Oh, look, there's the man. Okay, good.
Yeah,
We've
yeah,
solved that mystery.
yeah. I thought so. So yes, Mora says, "I'm sorry. Longest pause ever. Commercial break. Come on, get on with it." Then I did realize something. I I actually watched this last few episodes on like 0.75 speed because it helps me
Oh Lord.
actually, I found it's easier for me to take all my notes watching it slower because I don't need to keep pausing all the time. So I just suddenly had a realization, oh yeah, it's even longer for me
Yeah.
because I'm watching it slowly. But yes, Mora then votes
I was
for
wishing I could have.
Johnny.
I mean, there are some shows that I watch on like 2X, and I was wishing I could do that here. Like, come on, let's go. But I,
Yeah,
I
I
can't
did
do that
speed it
with
up
Peacock.
for the end game because I thought, okay, there's
Yeah,
we get Alan talking to other players one by
right.
one, and so I went back to I went back to normal speed at that point.
Hmm.
Maybe I sped it up a little bit. So yes, uh, I she votes for Johnny. Johnny's gone,
And I'm like,
and
yes, yes, finally. And look, it's nothing against Johnny. He just hasn't been good in the game. He finally figured something out late.
oh, yeah,
But I just, and you'll hear me say this again, probably. I didn't want another season in a row won in part or in whole by people who were not good at the game.
yeah. And Mora tells him, I feel really bad. You just said you really trust me. I just had a gut feeling. I love you. And I maybe like this is the last time I'll say it, okay? I made a note to myself here. So, Mora stands who insisted she's a secret
Hmm.
genius. Thoughts on this?
Yeah.
What's her plan now? And uh and yes, this is I also made a note to myself. I've covered it. This is what I thought Rob was hoping would happen. That
Yes.
get Mark out because Johnny will be easier to banish next. So hey, it's happened. And
See, when this happened, I thought it was over. I was like, great, Rob won. Maybe Rob and Eric. We'll just see. And that's it. That's it. They did manage to squeeze. They squeezed more tension out of it, and they had me worried. Each of the
yeah,
votes, I will say,
yeah.
they had me just a little bit worried at each of the votes, and I kept. That's another reason I was like, can I speed this up? Can we move along here?
Yeah. And of course, Johnny can't, there's no reveal. He's not
Right.
really supposed to do a speech. He runs over, gives Tara a hug, off he skips. And it seems like a very horrible, uncomfortable atmosphere as Alan prepares them for the end game. Uh, they've got a little bit of time. Maura tells Rob she trusts him 100%. And Rob is saying, we have to get Tara next.
Hmm.
And then this is where, yeah, Maura's
Yes.
like, no, but
Finally,
we
we
need to
hear.
get Eric, promise me. And Rob just nods along. And I thought, well, yeah, well, Rob can just do whatever he wants now. Like, he can just say, okay, yeah, let's get Eric.
Right.
He can just lie. He's going to get away with it. He
I
can tell
suspect
her
that was
anything.
another out of context situation, where they clipped him nodding along kind of vaguely
Probably.
from something else. And I'm sure, because like, did we actually see the Pinky Promise?
I didn't see it. No.
Yeah. So unless it happened earlier in the season when we've just forgotten about it, I think this is must be when they make the Pinky Promise, but he didn't, or the producers didn't want to show that because it would kind of ruin, that part of
The
the end game
little,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Or they did it off camera, and producers were like, "Stop doing stuff off camera." um, Tara, Morik, and Eric come together. They're in the library. Rob sort of lingers outside, and then he and Eric go off again. I had a little moment where I thought, "Are they going to now catch you guys talking about being traitors by
Well, here's the
accident?"
part that got me was that Mora and Eric and Rob were in the room. Tara walks in swearing she's a faithful. What else are you going to say at that point? And then Rob and Mark get up and leave with apparently no reason to do so. And I'm like, why are you leaving her alone with Tara?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah,
I mean, it's possible that Tara came in and said, "Can I talk to Mora privately?" And that's why they did it. And we just
yeah,
didn't see that part. But I'd be like, no. But of course, if you do that, then you show you don't trust her. So yes, you have
yeah,
to. But
yeah.
the way it was shown was like they just got up and left those two, and it's like, well, what are you doing? If she doesn't say anything, sit in there.
Right. Yeah, I wonder if it is a sort of unspoken feeling at that point that everyone should pair off with everyone else. And
Yeah.
if, yeah, Rob can't openly say, I'm not leaving you guys alone, like that, maybe
Yeah.
that looks bad. So
That would
he's
definitely
he's
look bad.
confident enough that he's like, you know what, Tara,
Yeah.
you can say whatever you want. It's not going to make a
Right.
difference. And so, yeah, Rob and Eric, they go off, they have their little chat, they agree they're going to get Tara out, and then they'll vote green. And I wondered here, is Rob lying to Eric? Is he going to double cross him?
Well, he already knows that Mora is going to go red
Oh, well,
because Mora
that's
has
true.
said that.
She said she
You
wants to get
know,
Eric out. Yeah.
so he doesn't tell Eric that Mora's going to go red. First of
Yeah.
all, But then yes, I wonder the same thing. Oh, so what is he going to do?
Hmm.
This is really the biggest. I mean, I know I said there was tension and worry about, the winner of the game, but legitimately, this is the biggest point of contention is Rob going to turn on Eric at the last minute?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I will say here that the power, we say it all the time, but the power of editing and particularly music and sound
Hmm.
is so impactful. The dramatic music is doing a lot of work in these episodes. I will say it's very effective. And Tara talks to Mora. Yep, the assists Rob and Eric. They're the traitors. We need to get Rob out too. And Tara's asking Mora, "How well do you really know him? Did you know him before this?" And she says, "I think Rob has basically pulled you here to the end. He's dragged you along. That's what's happening." And of course, we see Mora in confessional, surely being produced a little bit. She's saying, "What if I am being fooled? What if it is Rob and Eric?" I don't think she believes it. She's
No, I
just
mean she even
putting it
she
out
even
there.
she even says, "I just can't see it."
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
know,
they're
which again,
creatively,
insert comma about Morris stands here.
yeah. So it is time for the end game. And they come, Alan, we get Alan talking to them all individually first.
Yeah,
They've
here's
got
my
their,
note on that. Nothing new.
yeah, it's all their emotional reasons about wanting to win, what it
Yeah,
would mean to them. Of course, there's a little bit of emphasis on Mora. She talks about how
right.
she's been lied to in the past. She's got trust issues. Yeah, it all rests on Mora, and so they're trying to give us as much backstory and
Hmm.
reason to suspect she may flip at the last minute. Here we are at the Fire of Truth. Right,
Indoors.
indoors,
Indoors,
and
just like in the UK. Not a spoiler. And now my thought was, oh, with the weather we saw during that mission, it's not surprising that it's indoors. Um, but
yeah, I predict they're just going to do it indoors all the time
I
now.
think so. I think
I
so
think
too
that's the way
at
it
this
seems to be
point.
going.
Because later when they walk out, it's perfectly clear. Now, we just
Yeah.
talked about how the weather can change quickly and everything. But yeah, I think it's just they have more. We've talked about this on the UK podcast. They have better control there. They can put the mics and the cameras wherever they want. They don't have to worry about the wind coming through or a sudden burst of
Mm,
rain or whatever else. They can do whatever they want to do. It's all set up. And so I think they're just going to do that from now on.
yeah, and it is just as, if not more,
Hmm.
claustrophobic and dark and intense.
Right.
So they're not losing anything in terms of atmosphere. I said I would come back to this. I'm going to be swearing from here on in. What the fuck is Alan wearing? Like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Like, look, this is, I, I, look, I'm wearing a t-shirt. I am not a fashion expert.
I
I
mean,
have
I am
opinions.
wearing what Alan wore one time, sort
You
of. So,
are. That's cool. He looks like he's an extra in the Hunger Games in the Capitol. He looks like he could go up in flames if he gets too close to the fire. This is insane. I
and we don't even know how it lights up until afterwards.
oh my God. Like it's like I know if you don't have anything nice to say, maybe you shouldn't say anything at all.
Oh God, that would cut out half this
I
podcast.
right, exactly. I'm punching up. Alan's a millionaire. I can make fun of what he's wearing. I think that's okay. I I see that. Oh my God, it's just it's not even like, oh, that's really cool and edgy and quirky. Oh, it's so avant-garde. He just looks insane. Like with his hair, like this is not. Oh man, I just have so many thoughts. I keep seeing this meme online, and sometimes I want to share it to the podcast stories. And then I think, no, Matthew, that's mean. Don't do that. But I'm going to say it now. I see this like meme sometimes that says something like, "You're not challenging gender norms. Your outfit's just awful,"
Yeah,
and, and that's mean-spirited perhaps. But oh, my mind is blown by Alan, the Christmas wizard. I don't know what he is. So he's rich and famous. He can deal with my criticism. So he asks them to choose their pouches to continue or end the game. Obviously, they're going to vote for red first time round, right? So
right.
and they all go right.
And they're
Mora's
all like, "Oh, I
first
think there's
red,
another traitor." Yes, you've
and
already
yeah,
discussed that. We've already discussed there were two. We know.
yeah. There's another. They all say the same thing. And
Yeah.
what is interesting is Tara doesn't. Sorry, Tara says, "I believe there's a traitor amongst us, and I believe it's Eric." So she adds in a little bit extra, and Eric
Yeah.
retaliates. And I'm pretty sure they're not meant to speak much here,
I
but
was thinking the same thing. I'm like, wait, is that allowed? But we don't get a
yeah.
silence from Alan, so I guess that was okay.
Yeah, and maybe they were like, "Hey, if we get a little bit of extra drama at the last minute, that's good for viewing." I was I was worried that as it goes on, I thought if these last few moments ruin the game for Rob, I'm going to be really mad that you let them speak this much. So stop it. They vote. Eric votes for Tara. Tara votes for
Yeah.
Eric. Rob votes for Tara. Of course, it's all going to end with Mora. What's she going to do? Huge
And again, I hate commercials.
commercial break. By the way, and when the commercial break comes, I thought, hold on a minute. It's kind of clear now Rob's going to win, right? Like, he's not going to be banished at this point. Like, whoever Mora now votes for, Rob's fine for now.
Well,
And then I thought,
if she had voted Eric and
unless
then joined
Eric,
with Tara, yeah,
yes, I thought, unless I get it, Mora does turn on Rob,
yeah,
like, I was pretty confident okay, Rob's fine. He's most likely going to win.
yeah.
We eventually get there. Mora votes out Tara. And Tara's telling, off she goes, tells us in confessional, man, I thought I'd convinced Mora. I thought I had it. Back to Alan. He says, then there were three. Look around you. Is there a traitor in this trio? They have to decide. End game or banish again. Eric votes green. Mora votes red. Oh yes, she says she wanted to get Eric out. She's going ahead with it. And she gets her little moment to say, I think Eric thought he had us all fooled.
Hmm.
Rob also votes red. So yeah, I don't know what's Rob planning? What's he gonna do? It's so
Now,
Eric looks shocked.
yeah, oh yeah, Eric is definitely shocked. Now, here's one more thing I want to discuss. As I was watching Alan throwing, I realized he is not throwing. He is faking it.
Oh,
He has the beanbag in his hand,
right.
and he does this, and then they cut to a different image, and he does that, and it's
Ooh.
from further away, and then the fire flares up. So he's making a throwing motion, and then there's a remote controlled green or red puff of flame.
Yeah.
I literally watched one scene several times. There is nothing leaving Alan's hand. It's like when you're
Uh,
fooling a dog or something and pretending
right. That's what I was thinking of.
to throw. And I don't know if, how long they've been doing this. I wonder if Claudia does the same thing.
Hmm.
Because if you think about it, if you throw a bag of some substance into a fire, it does take a moment to burn through the bag before it gets to the substance. There were times when they would dump the bag. Do you remember that? They would dump the
Hmm.
bag of powder out and then it would instantly flare up. Now I think they're just in this controlled situation.
Yeah.
They don't want, like, I mean, the fire supposedly has some, like, pieces of wood. If he threw it and knocked one of those pieces of wood, it could fall over on the table, or he could miss, or whatever. So yes, it is all fake. The throwing
Oh,
is fake. Sorry to ruin the illusion of television.
the sad magic of TV. Well, most likely someone will argue online about this. Like, no, it's not. Like, we've had a couple of people arguing about the Jack in the Box episode.
Oh
No, and
God.
telling us that Rob and Eric filmed their parts separately
Yeah.
and so on. Anyway, the magic of TV does a lot, and this would also answer the question people often answer or ask, why don't the players throw their fire in
Right.
themselves? They trust the host more to fake it
Right.
better, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and they've set the camera up so that they can fool us a little
Hmm.
bit. The players maybe can't get away with that. It would
Yeah.
look too obvious. So yeah, there we go. It's sadly it's not real. And so yeah, we've got Eric horrified that Rob has voted red, and Rob says, "I made a pinky promise, and I intend to keep it." So yeah, I thought, oh, I've missed the pinky promise. And I thought,
Hmm.
is the pinky promise to Eric or to Mora? Who did he make? So I was confused a little. And then Eric talks more, and I was surprised they let him do this. He's saying, ah, I really, really, really trust you guys. It sucks. It hurts. And then turns on Rob and is saying, Mora, I want you to think about who you trust most in this game and why. And of course, there's lots of shots of Mora like, what?
Yeah.
Confused. What does this mean? And we cut to confessional of her saying, it can't be Rob, right? Something's going on. And yeah, I'm watching it going, no,
Yeah.
what? Has she figured it out? No, not my Rob. And so I didn't know what
Well,
was going to
yeah.
happen here.
All of a sudden, Eric finally rises to the occasion for lying here.
Yes.
Like, I want you to think about why you've never questioned the other player in this game, you know? And it's like, where was this Eric?
Yeah, yeah. He's like, now that he's really under attack, he's like, fuck, like, I'm not
Yeah.
going down without a fight. So they have to vote again. Eric votes for Rob. He's turned on him. Rob votes for Eric. It's all down to Mora. What's she gonna do? Is she gonna?
Thankfully, they ran out of commercials at this point. So,
Yes. She votes for Eric. Thank God, I am yelling.
yes.
And I I wonder, did Eric like was this Rob's plan? Was Rob absolutely coming for Eric anyway?
I
Uh
I don't know because
or
later
did Eric
Rob
screw himself over a little bit here? I don't know.
I mean, later, Rob, remember what Rob said when he originally picked him? I'm happy to work with, I need someone I could work with through 3 roundtables. Now, I didn't count the roundtables after that. I don't know how many there were. But later, after Rob wins, he says, would you give $100,000 to someone you just met 3 weeks ago? I wouldn't.
Right. Yeah.
So was this his plan? I I always felt, and I have voiced this on the podcast, people can go back and listen. He wasn't going to target Eric, but if Eric was gone, he'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
And so I think probably what happened was once so much suspicion fell on Eric, he needed a bargaining chip with Mora. Like, yes, Mora, I am with you. I will prove I am with you because we will pinky promise and we will get rid of Eric. And
Right.
therefore, you can. He needed, once people would not believe that both skaters were traitors, skater traitors,
The
um,
skater traders.
that he needed someone else to be one.
Hmm.
So yeah, with Eric's name floating around there, it made sense. If it had gone differently, would he have shared the money? Maybe. I don't know that we'll ever know. Maybe he'll answer that in interviews. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Like, did he want to share the money or not? Because
Hmm.
at this point, he doesn't need to stick with Mora anymore. He could just
Right.
vote her out with Eric, and they win
Yeah.
together. Like he doesn't need to honor any promises he made Mora. He's won. He has won
Yeah.
at this point, unless Eric and Mora turn on him.
Right.
Yeah, I just couldn't quite figure out. Did he? I wondered if he thought maybe it's kinder to Mora in a way or easier to vote her, just get her out, and I don't have to admit to her that was a traitor. Like, is it what's the crueler outcome for
I
Mora?
think the crueler
Maybe
outcome would have been to vote her out because she has to turn around and walk out without an explanation,
I
at
guess,
least for that moment,
for
however
that
long
moment.
it lasts. I mean, Eric was upset. He said, money's great, but relationships are more important. I'm like, spoken like a true person who already has money. Uh, you know, um, I mean, I don't know what Eric's net worth is. Let's do a quick Google. You thought I was searching something earlier. Let's do Eric Nam net worth. Let's see here. Well, he apparently doesn't have as much money as Google net worth says that Mora has,
Hmm.
but he has an estimated net worth of $1.5 million.
Okay.
So, at his age, that's a pretty good amount, and I'm sure he can keep earning more, especially after this appearance here.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing is whether or not, my little joke about spoken like someone who has money. Um, it's a game. It's a game. Winning the game is what's important in the game. not
Yeah.
relationships you started, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, this made me laugh when he talks
Mm.
at the end and is saying, he says something about how he couldn't have lived with himself. And I thought, huh? What were you planning on doing this whole time? Like, I just thought it was quite easy to say at the end.
Right.
And I'm not like having a go at Eric. He seems like a nice guy, but to make yourself look really honorable and like I just couldn't have betrayed Mora or whatever. Like you were gonna do that up until this moment. Don't pretend you weren't gonna do that. And also, you just turned on Rob. Like you just tried to get him out at the end. So you
Well,
can't
because he knew Rob
pretend.
turned on him, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but yeah, this is why they stick a microphone right in their faces right after it happens to get these bitter moments. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
like if
once
more
we watch the reunion that he'll be much better.
Oh yeah. I if Mora had suddenly changed her mind and voted at
Mhm.
Rob, Eric, you're still gonna now have to screw her over and so
Right.
you can't pretend and be like, oh man, I just couldn't have lived with it. If that was really the case, you would have written your own name, turned it over and said, I can't vote for either of you,
Yeah.
I can't do this, I'm out like so but yeah, I guess he's in the moment. He's upset. Fine. Oh, he's gone, and Alan tells the final two they've made it here from the 23 who began the game. You're on the precipice of victory, but you still need to cross. If you're both faithful, blah 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 blah. Mora, are you a faithful or a traitor? And she tries to fake out Rob. She says, I'm sorry. I'm a faithful, and Rob pretends. Oh, I got a fright
Yeah,
for a
I know.
moment. Oh
Rob
my goodness.
pretending at this moment was particularly funny. Like, oh, you better not do that to me.
Yes. And then here it comes. Rob, are you a faithful or a traitor? Rob says, Mora, I am, and I always have been a traitor. She's horrified. He says,
You just
I'm
you
so
see the
sorry.
moment her mind breaks. Like
Yeah.
click, you
And
know.
it's as if she almost wonders, are you kidding? Because he says,
Right. Oh, she
no, I'm
absolutely
serious.
thinks he's kidding. Yeah.
He says, I'm a
Because
traitor.
she
I'm
just tried to
serious.
joke with him, so she thinks he's joking with her, and he's like, no. But
Yeah.
then the funniest part, you pinky promised. Oh no, not the almighty pinky promise. You cannot break the pinky promise.
Yes.
Swearing on a Bible, that's nothing
Uh,
compared to the pinky promise.
right. And it's this it's this horrible intense moment. She talks about how she feels stupid and she calls him an asshole and says he's a piece of work and he's embarrassed her and he's trying to just apologize and she just says no, don't even
Yeah.
speak. And like I get it, I would
Yeah.
be furious as well. Like if I had almost had $100,000 and I was tricked all along, like it's fine. I would be pissed off as well, so she could be angry. I understand. And she even says, "You're never going to have a girlfriend after this. You're such a good liar."
Yeah.
However, I will give her credit because she does at least
Right.
fairly quickly then says, "Look, fair play. I would have done the same. I think I'm just in shock. I really thought I was winning." So at
Mm-hmm.
least, and in confession, she does kind of laugh, and she's like, "Well, he's a snake, but well done."
Right.
So she's able to acknowledge, fine, it was a game, I get it, but also I'm allowed to be really angry. So, you know, that's I think that's
Yeah.
pretty good on her. Alan congratulates Rob. He says they come out of the castle. He's got mixed feelings. I believe that is true. And this is where he says, "Look, would I give $100,000 to someone I just
Mm-hmm.
met 3 weeks ago?" And I also think, yeah, the, fair. I get that.
Well,
Fair
not
enough.
to
His family is
mention,
more important.
let's say that you could do this as an even split according to how much work you did. He'd still get 90% of it because what did Eric do in this game that we saw? I mean, it's possible he did more, but he was a useless faithful for most of the game or for a good chunk. Yeah, I guess most.
Mhm.
Then when he was made a traitor, he, from what we saw, he did whatever Rob told him
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Rob protected him. So it's
right.
not like, I mean, if Eric had turned on Rob, then we'd be like, ooh, that's interesting because Rob did all the work. And then Eric, yeah. But no, Rob did almost everything for the traders this entire game
Yeah,
and then got rid of Eric. So It's like you were expecting to get paid for what? For it just being carried along as an extra vote.
Yeah. And he also tells Alan. Alan asks about Mora, and he's like, "Oh man, I actually don't think she's going to forgive me."
Yeah.
Shouts his apology to the castle. Alan turns on his Christmas lights.
Oh, you forgot about the fake fireworks, which I will agree with you.
Oh,
Finally, those are fake.
yes,
I
we
all
get
this
our
time I've
CGI.
I've been debating a little bit, but yeah, those are definitely CGI fireworks.
Yes, and Rob says something about uh, like, "Oh man, people just." I think he says people think I'm like hot and stupid.
Yes,
I thought,
hot and dumb or something
oh
like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, no, Rob, you're just one of those. We don't think you're
Yeah.
dumb. And he says he needs to find a girlfriend who hasn't watched TV.
Yeah.
I think Rob will have not much of a problem finding a
No.
girlfriend.
No.
And they return to the castle with Alan telling Rob bad things happen around here in the dark. And we're done. We reached the
Well, wait,
end.
no, and then he said something like, especially if Mora finds you. And Rob makes a comment like, oh, well, maybe that wouldn't be so bad. Or I don't remember exactly what he said, but
Yes. We have no predictions. It's usually prediction time. We can just gloat and say we were pretty confident Rob was going to do well and had
hmm
it. A couple of episodes back, yeah, we were like,
yes.
I think Rob's got this. Rob's got the win. We of course we've got our reunion episodes that we're going to come back to tomorrow. Someone pointed out, by the way, on social media that we had seen previews of the reunion and social media clips, and we knew that Johnny and Tara weren't going to be there. Was that a bit of a clue? They probably weren't going to win.
No, because I mean, I knew they weren't going to be there when it was filmed. Lots of us did because they were
Ah,
doing the Olympics. And I mean, it was planned for like the one day there wasn't ice skating in the
mm.
midst of everything else. And you could tell because everybody was posting on Instagram, like, oh, here's my look. We're going. Here we are. And so you knew they were not going to fly them back from Italy, have them do that, and then fly them back to Italy again.
Yeah.
There was just there was just
I
no
guess they
way.
could do a. They could have done a Zoom like joining us now. It's
Well, they did
Johnny.
do as I think they
Oh,
do as
I
I mean,
see. I
again,
haven't seen
I
the
mean,
reunion.
because they talked about their reunion looks on Instagram, both
Ah,
Tara and Johnny.
I
So
see.
I presume that's what they do. Someone did bring up, well, does this tell us they didn't win because they would have changed the date? And I'm like, I don't see how they changed the date.
Mm,
The Olympics
okay.
was what, 2 weeks long? And this was when you need to, and someone said, well, they could have filmed it earlier. They could have moved it to earlier. I'm like, you've got like half the season remaining if you do it, or maybe not quite, but it just seems like an awful lot. So yeah, it would have been awkward. Maybe they would have changed it. Who knows? Maybe they would have done something different if those two had won. Um, I don't know, but I didn't consider it a spoiler
Right,
necessarily.
right.
That
Okay. We've got our Q&A episode in a few days, so any thoughts you have on the episode or anything
Mhm.
David and I have talked about here, I'm sure you will. Send them to us. We'll cover them in our bonus episode. For now, David, final thoughts on the season, on the finale. What are you left with?
So I have a number of them. First, if you had told me before the season started that I'd be rooting so hard for Rob to win at the end, this is not the Rob I would have presumed you were talking about.
Yeah.
But once I got over Rob Sesternino going out at the hands of Rob R, and then Rob R took over the game, I could not see any other outcome that would make me happy. He played well. He had so much control over literally everyone except the skaters. And yes, you've mentioned this. You may mention it again. We've seen some people claiming, oh, Rob isn't that good of a player. It's just that the faithful were bad. Both things can be true. And I believe you even responded that way to someone. Um, Rob has definitely shown he's good at this game. Even the end game showed it with the control he maintained over Mora. If you're denying this, it's just because, as much as I've, made fun of the Mora stands, if you're denying this, you're like a Rob anti-stan. You just don't like Rob. Okay. And I understand there are people playing in games right now that I don't like. There's a woman who was on the Traitors who is now on Survivor 50 who said some really horrible things. It's, it's difficult to watch her on TV.
Mm,
And so, but to my knowledge, Rob has not done this. I know Rob had some people who didn't like him coming in, but I am not familiar with the reasons why. They are not Michael Rappaport or Colton Underwood levels of reason. Um, the point is, no, he's not just a pretty face. Okay. He played this game. He played it hard. And, there are some people who are like, I saw this just earlier today. Someone commented, well, it's just because he had a bunch of dumb faithfuls. Who did he help get out first? The gamers. As much as I hated it, he got out Ian, he got out Rob. These are people who would figure things out. Jam Jam. I mean, I know it wasn't his choice to get out Jam Jam, but I guarantee there were discussions in the turret that we didn't see. Like, we have to get out the people who will figure things out. And so, yes, I've said it before when Mora gives the why are we here question. Because you're not smart enough to take out a number. There's a reason it whittled down to the people who were clueless. Everybody's like, oh, these are the dumbest faithfuls ever. Well, first of all, no, not necessarily. And second of all, this is why you end up with it. You don't want the smart people there at the end. You want the people who are not going to figure it out, the ones you have either control over or are just going to be pointed off in random directions.
right.
So, yes, the remaining faithful were bad. That's the point. Part of that was through Rob's own planning. And, we saw that along the way. Kristen has a good idea. Get rid of Kristen. Natalie's starting to come up with a good idea. Get rid of Natalie. And then you could follow that back. So, yes, if you don't want to like Rob, you don't have to. I don't know enough about him personally. I'm not saying you should be in love with the man, although clearly a lot of people are. But all I'm saying is he played a very good game. The second best Traitors game as a trader.
Yeah.
Possibly the second best trader in the US. Possibly the second best Traitors US game at all. So I mean, yeah, is it the way I exactly envisioned him winning by himself? No, but I believe I did predict he would win by himself. I thought he would trade away Eric earlier, but actually this was more calculated and made more sense given the way the vote count, added up. The funny thing was he kept his promise to Mora, but I mean, it doesn't matter. He delayed her sad outcome for a few moments. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think that, I think that Rob is a very deserving winner. And then, once we're done here, I have, some more comments to go respond to from people who kept insisting Mora was a secret super genius. So
Maybe she'll be on the next season of Genius Game. Oh wait, that's been cancelled and won't be coming back. There is funnily enough, there is another show on TV in the UK right now called Secret Genius,
oh, it's
which I
all about
keep
Mora.
calling. It's all about Mora. There is a Traitors connection. I keep mixing it up with Genius Game. No, it's called Secret Genius. It's hosted by Alan Carr, winner of Celebrity Traitors UK. So I've only watched an episode, but it's good fun. I'll try and watch the rest. And in fact, Eliana, who's been on our podcast a couple of times as a co-host, Eliana worked on that show
Oh,
last year. So I'm keen to go back and watch the rest. I enjoyed what I saw. Anyway, sidetrack. Uh, for final thoughts, I would probably echo a couple of things that you've already said, David. But I have two main final topics to cover. One is the season as a whole and how it felt. We talked about this during this episode. It did feel like two separate seasons to me. It
yeah.
felt like the first half was so chaotic and so driven by wild moments of Michael Rappaport being insane and Colton being, to me, very smug and unlikable. And then they left, and I felt like it really shifted towards, oh, we can
Yes.
just focus on the game now. This is kind of a reiteration of comments I've made on our social media videos that,
Hmm.
yeah, because someone somewhere asked, man, is this the worst season ever? And I said, actually, the first few episodes, I kind of was feeling like I was really not enjoying it. I was like, man, these personalities are
Yeah.
so over the top and ridiculous. I'm just finding it annoying. But actually, as a lot of those, to me, annoying people were weeded out, I really did begin to enjoy it much more in the second half. And partly that's due to Rob, I feel, playing very, very well. An interesting play going on at roundtables and discussions and so on.
Hmm.
So I felt it was a season of two halves. And the second half was much more interesting to watch and talk about.
It was the
My
worst of
other,
times. It was the best of times.
right. My other big thought is, and you just mentioned it, David, is about this idea that A, Rob's not a good player at all, and only won because he was up against terrible
Hmm.
faithful, and B, joined to that, these were the worst faithful ever. These were not the worst faithful ever, and I reckon every season of the Traitors, whether it's Traitors UK, Traitors US, Ireland, whatever, a bunch of people online will comment saying, these are the worst faithful
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
Well, they can't all be the worst faithful ever.
No, Australia season two.
Yes, most likely.
Okay, there is definitive proof Australia season two are indeed, other than a couple, there are a couple good ones. But other than that, they were indeed, and we heard, and I think I may have mentioned this, that we heard that they didn't even read the rule book. They didn't even
Yeah,
know how
yeah,
the game was played. They came in clueless and left clueless.
right. And when people complain and say these people are
Hmm.
idiots, they're so foolish. Oh my God, they're so dumb. I really just want to reiterate how easy that is for us to say. It is a
Right.
very difficult game to play as a faithful. You have nothing to go on. Like, what are the traitors doing to give themselves away? Very little, unless they make foolish mistakes and slip up or are terrible at lying. It's tough, like you and I, we've played Werewolf and Mafia.
Hmm.
When you're in the dark, it's really tough. Like I and it's so easy for us to say as viewers, "Oh God, it's so obvious. Why can't they see this?" You have to keep in mind we've got the benefit of camera people capturing the right moments,
Hmm.
editors showing us the right things we need to see. We've got all the confessionals of the players. The faithful don't get the confessionals. They don't see anything in the turret. They don't see the little looks that the traitors might give to one another in private. They don't even see, especially at the start of the game, you're surrounded by 20 people. You can't keep up to date with what everyone is doing and saying to one another. It's so tough to be a faithful, especially at the start of the game. It's so easy to
Yeah.
criticize them and say they're idiots. How can't they see the obvious? Also, remember, their time is very controlled in this game. They are monitored. They've got what's the word I'm looking for? Like not companions. They've
Sure.
got
Go
people
with
accompanying
companions.
them. They've got yeah, they're accompanied by. There's a word. It's on the tip of my tongue. It'll come to me. They've got
Chaperones.
somebody chaperones. Thank you. They have chaperones who are with them. It's mission time. Talk about the game. Stop. Come with me.
Yeah.
You're in the car. Okay, you can talk now. Back to the castle. We're going to pull you out for interviews as soon as round table's done. Their time is very controlled. They're told really strictly at certain moments. The cameras aren't on. Do not talk about the game.
Hmm.
Uh, at night, off to lodgings, or they pretend they're staying in the castle. They're not. They're secluded. They can't talk to one another. They're in the cars alone on the way there. They're so secluded and so controlled that there's even less time to figure out what's happening and spot things that are going on. My point is, it's tough being a faithful. It's very easy to say they're terrible and they're idiots. And the idea that Rob only did well because the faithful were terrible doesn't make sense to me because of all the things we've talked about in the podcast, about all the
Hmm.
things we noticed Rob doing very well. But also, I would just point to the fact that they did banish three traitors successfully. You
They
can't.
did, although I would argue that Rob banished three traitors.
Rob helped. Well, yes. Apart from, well, the first traitor, Rob didn't know that Donna was secret traitor. So
Oh,
that
right,
was
right, right. Sorry.
collectively the
No, I
faithful
was
who all
talking.
figured it out.
Yeah, I was talking about the other three after her.
Yes. Yeah. Eric and Candice and Lisa. Yes. Rob definitely had a big part in that.
Hmm.
Fine. I can't, as much as I'm giving Rob credit for, Rob is not a, a all powerful.
No, it kind of was.
He, he, it takes a lot to convince like 12, 13, 14 other people to vote the way you want them to vote. So he did a lot of work, and that's what I'm giving him credit for.
Right, I know, I know.
I don't think it's just. It also is a contradiction to say the faithful are idiots and they're terrible. They only got out the traitors because of Rob, but also Rob's a bad traitor and he's
Right,
used. It can't
yeah,
be both of those things. He
right.
can't have commandeered all of the faithful into doing what he wanted, and also he's a terrible traitor and was bad at the
Right.
game. So yeah, like you said, I think some people just don't like Rob. That's fine.
I mean, I think a lot of them. I'm just guessing. Well, I don't know for sure. I'm from what I have seen, at least some of them are Housewives fans. They don't like that he went after Lisa and he went after Kate. There are still people who are commenting to me about something that may happen in the reunion. I haven't seen it. Like, well, what do you say about Rob now that he admitted that he mentioned Candace's name first? Well, first of all, I want to see that comment before, I want to see what's actually said. Second of all, so what? I mean, does it change a little bit in what I thought happened? Yes. Does it make him some horrible person because he went after her first? No. And some people are like, see, no matter what he said, he was always planning on winning by himself. Oh, okay. You mean like almost every other traitor in history of the game?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's terrible for doing that. I mean, it was people started to see it as the housewives against Rob, and Rob took out the housewives. And it's the same thing we see when it's the gamers against the housewives. And I know I did a video about Stan Wars earlier. It did not get quite the spread that I hoped it would, but go back and find it on YouTube or TikTok. And the different stands of different groups. And this was before I even knew there were Mora stands when I made this. But the stands will attack. They will not just defend their own, but they will attack others. And I mean, that's it's within the definition of being a stan. These are not normal fans. People who are normal fans of the Housewives are normal. You could be a fan of the Housewives and be normal. You could be a fan of the gamers and be normal. You could be a fan of Rob and be normal. Stans are what I'm talking about here. And
yeah.
by definition, if you're a stan, and not a joking stan, like some people are like, oh, I stan this person. If you're a stan, by definition, you are not normal, and you should seek help.
I would also just point out, this is a small point, to respond to people saying Rob hates women.
Mm-hmm.
Rob that's why he got Lisa and Candace out. They were his. He didn't choose the traitors. He only
Right,
had two other women. Like so, he just want. I think he wanted them out because they weren't playing very well, and it helped
right,
him to get some traitors out of the gate. There wasn't another man traitor, so he couldn't get a male out.
right.
He only had the option of getting women out. And then someone will come back and say, yeah, but then he recruited Eric and stuck by
which
him.
which I
Well,
discussed already. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. We reckon it's probably because he knew, well, in the end, he did turn on Eric too. So
right.
he did
And
turn
also,
on a
I
male
think he
traitor.
wanted someone who was compliant, someone he could control.
Right.
And so it's not about being upset that they were powerful women. It's the powerful part. The part that they would not allow him to necessarily do what he wanted solely.
Yeah.
So, because he had a plan, clearly, it's like throughout my many years of working, I had so many women bosses, and one of them was massively controlling, and had her fingers in everything, and would insult people, and sometimes I would hear comments where one person would say, oh, she's so terrible that, and someone else, oh, you just say that because she's a woman. No, I'd say that if, whether it was me or mostly it was someone else defending this, saying it and defending it. Like, no, I'm saying it because that's what she is. The fact that she's a woman or a man has nothing to do with it. Like I said, I worked for almost all women, as a matter of fact, throughout my years there, in one way or another. If not a direct boss, then higher up. So it's the same thing here with him. You can, if he had a, and I hate to say it this way, a woman he could control, then it would have been, he probably wouldn't have gone after them.
Yeah.
And so if Lisa or Candace had the personality of an Eric, he wouldn't have needed to do anything because he would have been able to control it. But the two of them were strong women. I'm not saying they were strong players. I'm not saying they were good players, but they were strong in what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And that did not help him. So he wanted to help himself, which is the point of this game.
Yes, absolutely. I do have one final thought that I'm sort of going back a little bit here to the idea of bad faithful and they're
Mm-hmm.
terrible. I'll just finish by adding, I think bad faithful make good TV, unfortunately.
Well,
So
yes.
the the creators of the show probably don't want really smart faithful that are going to catch traitors out really early and really well and really often. The fun of the show for most viewers probably is watching them get it wrong and watching the traitors get away with things. Like that's kind of what makes the show for most part. Like seeing how yeah, how the traitors can lie. That's the point of the show. It's a show about deception and betrayal and
Mm-hmm.
secrecy and lies. If we have a great crew of faithful who catch them out all the time and suss what's going on and get rid of it, kind of undermines the point of the show. And that's also why the creators of the show, they don't want to give the faithful lots of help. The show is engineered to keep them in the dark because it ends up making more fun TV at
Right. And it's,
roundtables when they get it all
yeah,
wrong.
I've said it
Uh,
before. The show is not called The Faithful, it is called The
yeah,
Traitors.
right.
And so, I mean, even I don't know that they would purposely cast for people who are clueless. I mean, we have seen in other seasons, they have cast former police detectives, mystery writers, all these people who should be theoretically experts and who are often very confident that they are experts
Yeah,
and who fail miserably.
yeah,
And so but of course, part of it is also if you're too successful, the traders get rid of you.
right.
So
Yeah,
it's that balance there. This game is a little bit different because they're not just casting normal people. I mean, why were Tara and Johnny cast? It wasn't because they're generally famous. It wasn't because they're going to be great traders players. It's because Peacock knew they're going to be on the Olympics at the same time, and this can
right.
bring eyeballs one way or another.
Yes.
And so, you know, did they care how well they did in the game? Probably not. As long as they were in the game, at the start and however long they lasted, that's all that mattered.
Yeah,
And it's the same with a lot of the housewives that we've said it before. A lot of them are brought there to bring the Bravo audience.
yeah, yeah,
And
of
that is
course.
why they have these. I mean, was Donna Kelsey cast because she's a great game player? No, clearly not.
Yes, she
Apparently,
was. Oh, I mean, no. Yeah.
apparently she does say in the reunion that she's like watches Big Brother and she's a fan of Big Brother. So she's at least familiar with some of these games, which is probably how she got, linked into it. But
Yeah,
nobody was like, "Oh, she's going to be awesome. Let's bring her." No, it was let's get more viewers here. Everything is about getting more viewers. That is why they have this mix.
yeah,
And that's why we'll continue to see this mix.
yeah. And why every season viewers and listeners will say these are the worst faithful ever
Yes.
when they're not really. If you vehemently disagree with all of these things David and I have been saying, that's great for us. I guess comment and it
Well, I don't
drives
know
out.
about vehemently. I don't know. But oh yes, comment on the video. Yes, that
If you
does
want
help.
to argue with
So
us, that just brings more eyeballs to the pod. So go ahead.
yeah.
And also gives us more to talk about in our Q&A episode in a few days. So we do want your rational, logical thoughts. If you send us a crazy rant about how much you hate us, probably not going to read it out, unless it's really funny, uh, inadvertently funny. David, you are now not just covering US traitors. I mean, you're sort of almost done with US traitors.
Hmm.
You're covering, I think you're having a very busy week of reality
I
competition
am.
TV. Tell us
I
all
am.
about it. Where are you? What are you covering?
So I'm all over social media and reality TV podcasting. Of course, we've already mentioned I will be right back here tomorrow and a few days after that for our discussion of the reunion and then the postseason Q&A episode. But also, Survivor 50 had its 3-hour premiere on Wednesday.
Whoa.
So I am working on a double Why Blank Lost podcast on RHAP, which should be available by Saturday morning. So yes, my today and yesterday was Wednesday night was watch 3 hours of TV, then watch more because I have to rewatch it for notes and videos, and then eventually go to bed at some point and then wake up and watch the rest and put together notes and read interviews and do everything else. Watch the notes or make the notes until such time as I have to watch the traders, take notes on the traders, get ready for the podcast, go back to my survivor notes, do this podcast, then go back to my survivor notes again. Then at some point, watch the reunion, do get ready for that podcast. Oh, no. And tonight I'm doing the podcast before or in between there. And so, yes, it is this overlap. And I haven't even watched. There's 3 hours of House of Villains that have been released already.
Oh
I'm not
yeah, yeah.
podcasting on it, but I will be doing videos. I'm sure there's always fun stuff to do, videos on there. And so that leads into, of course, check out my TikTok, YouTube accounts at where I'm at David Bloomberg TV. Of course, many of them have been for the Traitors US. Survivor 50, those are starting to grow. Australian Survivor, they've also got 3 episodes per week of that. I can't do all that I normally do for that, but I'm doing some videos for that. House of Villains, like I said, who knows what else? This has been a massive week. Everybody held off until after the Olympics were over and just dropped it on us all at once.
Yeah.
And of course, I've mentioned before, I'm doing mini Why Blank Lost videos for all of the traders players who have been murdered and banished. And so I will have what five of five mini Why Blank Losts and a Why Rob won in the coming days. Give me a minute.
Rob
I got it.
won? You've ruined
Yeah, I
it.
know. Yeah, yeah. So give me a minute to get those out. It's going to take a while. I'm going to have to see if they do interviews, what they say in interviews, things like that. So again, at David Bloomberg TV on the video sites, you can find me at Linktree/David Bloomberg.
And as always, David's Linktree address is in the episode description. Very easy to find. To make sure that you're up to date with the podcast, Traitors News, what we're going to be covering next. Sometimes a little video from me, sometimes I go live. You can follow on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Trader Podcast. I will be running the first Traitors Online Trader Edition game in a couple of days, and I'll probably it's sold out very quickly. Doing another one in a couple of weeks. I'll most likely announce another one in the next couple of weeks. So you're probably going to want to be following on social media to find out when I announce that and sign up because they've been selling out so quickly. And uh, so that's a reason alone to sign up. And I'll hopefully be posting some highlights from our first game online so you can see what it looks like, how's it going, and what fun we're having. You can, of course, send us all your thoughts and questions for the Q&A episode on social media, or you could email me at thetradarpodcast@gmail.com, or you could do what Debbie did, our listener. You could leave a voice note and be heard on the podcast by visiting memo.fm/ the Tradar Podcast. You can also send me a voice note on Instagram and a DM. That's fairly straightforward too. Wherever you're listening, watching, it's important to subscribe, follow, recommend it to people, share it to people on your stories, leave a star rating, whatever your platform asks you to do. It's very helpful for the podcast. And you can support the pod in a couple of ways if you've been listening this whole season and you want to say thanks because you've enjoyed it and it's been fun. And it does take a lot of time and effort to create the podcast, I do have to say. You can do a couple of things. You could visit thetrader.redbubble.com, where there's lots of cool merch that shows how much you love the show and the podcast. Like my t-shirt that I'm wearing right now. A couple of people mentioned before, hey, the logo is a little small. Can you make it bigger? I've managed to do that. It's actually you can have it in a bigger version than mine. There's caps, there's tote bags, t-shirts, all sorts of wonderful
Are
things.
those already
So
on Redbubble?
uh, yes, yes. What did I say?
No, I'm asking. I
Oh,
just
they're
wanted to
there. Oh,
verify.
yes, yes, they're right now. It's all there. I've sorted it. So if a couple of people looked before and said, "Oh, can you change the size a little?" The answer is yes. I've
Oh yeah,
managed to
there
do
it is.
it.
I see like the hat,
Yeah.
that's got the bigger logo and so yeah, great.
Yes, there you go. Have a look, check it out. And if you don't want merch, but you just want to say, hey, thanks, I've been listening, I've been loving, you could visit the coffee.com page for the pod. If you're listening to this podcast relatively soon after we've posted it, there probably aren't any ads on this episode, which is probably really great for you that you don't have to listen to them all, but sadly means there's nothing, no sort of income generated from the ads, which is a shame for us because kind of relying on that to help the podcast keep going. So a coffee.com donation would be really, really kind, really appreciated. It's ko-fi.com/Matthew Keeley. There's some behind the scenes technical things going on that are stopping ads right now, which is a shame, but hey, coffee.com's there if you want to say thanks if
Yeah.
you're able to do that.
And just to clarify, that's listening. On YouTube, there will still be ads. Sorry.
Oh yes, sorry, YouTube people, you had to watch unless you're on YouTube Premium, and you don't need
Right.
to do that. Hey, uh, like David has said, like I've said, we will be back very soon to talk about the reunion episode for Traitors US, and then back with our Q&A episode a few days after that. Until then, very soon, laters, traitors.
And stay traitorous.